हेलो एवरीवन। बहुत ही कम लोग होते हैं जो आपको ग्रो करने में मदद करते हैं, आपको गाइड करते हैं, आपको समझाते हैं व्हेन एवर रिक्वायर्ड, और वो आपके साथ हमेशा खड़े होते हैं। ऐसी पर्सनालिटीज सिर्फ अपने नॉलेज को अपने तक सीमित रखने में बिलीव नहीं करती है, वो चाहती है जिस किसी को भी उसकी जरूरत हो उस तक वो नॉलेज पहुंचे और उनकी भी ग्रोथ हो सके। तो आज हमारे साथ एक ऐसी ही टीचर है जो सिर्फ अपने स्टूडेंट्स या अपने क्लासरूम तक अपने नॉलेज, अपने एक्सपीरियंस को सीमित नहीं रखती, वो अपने फेलो टीचर्स या जिस किसी को भी उसकी रिक्वायरमेंट है उस तक अपनी एक्सपीरियंस को, अपनी बातों को जरूर पहुंचाती है। सो आज हम बात करने वाले हैं एक ऐसी टीचर के साथ जिनका नाम है मिस हेमा गोपीनाथ। सो मैं बिल्कुल भी टाइम ना वेस्ट करते हुए उनके साथ हमारा डिस्कशन चालू करने वाली हूँ।
Hello,
हेलो
Nupur.
हेलो हेमा मैम, हाउ आर यू?
And I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm also fine, ma'am. Thank you so much for joining this session. एंड आज बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग सेशन होने वाला है क्योंकि ये बहुत एक्सपीरियंस टीचर है। हम जानेंगे इनके एक्सपीरियंस से किस तरह से हमें फायदा मिल सके। ठीक है?
I'm really excited, Nupur. And thank
I'm
you
also.
so much for inviting me to your this
That
session.
is
And I'm
my pleasure. That is my pleasure, ma'am.
glad that you have started something of this, this forum where everybody can have a chance to come up and share their ideas, their journey, their process.
So, ma'am, let us start with a very genuine question because I feel like when I was kid, मुझे कभी भी मैथ्स में बहुत ज्यादा इंटरेस्ट रहा नहीं था। मुझे उतना ज्यादा मौका नहीं मिला अपने बेसिक्स को क्लियर करने का इन माय अर्ली क्लासेस। सो मे बी बिकॉज ऑफ दैट आई वाज वेरी स्केर्ड ऑफ मैथ। सो बट उसके बाद आई गॉट अ टीचर जिन्होंने मेरी लाइफ बदल दी, जिन्होंने मेरा पर्सपेक्टिव मैथ के लिए पूरा चेंज कर दिया एंड आई एंड अप बीइंग ग्रेजुएट इन मैथ। आई बिकम अ मैथ टीचर ऑल्सो। सो आपके लाइफ में कैसा हुआ, कैसे यू फेल्ट इंटरेस्ट टूवर्ड्स मैथ?
The thing is, math was never an issue when I was small. Maybe our teachers, I studied in a convent school, so their rigor is there. But math was never a question of rigor. It was, for me, it was the easiest subject because you had to remember very less things. For me, social studies, science was interesting. Social studies was a bit difficult because you had to remember all the dates and the chronological order. For math, you just needed logic. You can get away with it. So that was the, in the beginning years, that was the thing. Ended up being a math graduate. And after that, during that time, we had programming languages coming up in a big way. So for programming languages, I was pretty good at it because again, you didn't logic. Logic was the main thing for me to get attracted to math as well as programming languages, which started my journey as a teacher also. Okay. So if you look at it, I did not start as a math teacher. Math was my subject. Yes, I started as a programmer, then teaching programming languages.
आई कंप्लीटली अंडरस्टैंड कि वो लॉजिकल जिसमें आपको याद करने की जरूरत नहीं है, रट्टाफिकेशन एंड रिमेम्बरिंग द टर्म्स, वो सब की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती एंड यू जस्ट गो विद द फ्लो, यू नीड टू सॉल्व द क्वेश्चन एंड गेट द आंसर, राइट? सो ये तो तभी होता है व्हेन यू आर प्रैक्टिसिंग मोर, राइट? विदाउट प्रैक्टिस मैथ को करना, मैथ को अच्छे से उसका होल्ड पाना बहुत डिफिकल्ट है, राइट? बट यही चीज जो है वो कहीं ना कहीं आज के स्टूडेंट्स में या स्टूडेंट्स में इन जनरल वो एक बोरियत पैदा कर देती है बिकॉज दे फील कि राइट आई हैव टू प्रैक्टिस सो मच, मुझे इतना सारा प्रैक्टिस करते रहना पड़ेगा, ओनली देन आई कैन गेट अ होल्ड ऑफ इट, राइट? सो उससे क्या होता है, बच्चा दूर भागने लगता है, दे डोंट वांट टू डू इट बिकॉज दे फील आई हैव टू गिव सो मच टाइम टू इट. सो एज अ टीचर और एज अ पेरेंट, हाउ वी कैन डील विद इट?
I would like to add in one more thing. In math, even though practice is important, simply practicing the same thing over and over again makes it boring for me also. So I also try not to, which I find boring, I am reluctant to give my students to do. So if my main focus is, if you are a teacher of any subject, you make it interesting enough to hold their attention for a longer period of time, that they want to go back and do. That is one thing. So what I have seen through my years is math has somehow got reduced to just numbers. It's not numbers only. Math has never been only numbers. It has been something which has been developed to solve some daily life issues. So everything has got a connection to something around you. So if you make children realize the connectivity of math with real life, I'm talking about real life, wherein you take them to places you or whatever is around you, make them see the connection with different concepts. It no longer becomes a rote learning or a boring learning for them. Once the concepts are clear with hands-on, as much as hands-on and physical and visual stimuli, after that, if you tell them, okay, every time you cannot have all the situations for you to do work out a math problem. So now let us get down to what is to be done basically to get the job, to solve the problems. Then you make them do questions. I feel that it will make a lot of difference in the way they see math. It should be enjoyable. If it is not enjoyable, it becomes boring. If
Correct.
it's
Very
simply
true.
crunching
Very true.
numbers.
Very
Very
true.
few children really enjoy that rigor. Not only that, somewhere by only giving rigor and not allowing them to go back to connect with why it is there in the first place, it loses out its charm. Like, for example,
Yes.
I tell you, fraction is something which most children dread till they reach 10th. There will
Yes.
be at least few children who dread fraction, and because they dread fraction, they dread percentages, which comes into the fraction, ratio, proportion. Everywhere it plays an important part.
Yes. Everything is
So
connected. All the concepts are kind of connected.
definitely, concepts are connected and subjects are connected,
Hmm.
and everything around you is connected with what we do. So for what I've seen is, if a child who's really good in fractions need not be able to visually represent a fraction. If I ask, okay, represent 3 and 1 by 3, the child may be stumped. He or she may know how to write it in improper fraction or whatever it is. But ask them to visualize it? No. So visualization for me plays an important part, and making connections with something or the other so that the children find it interesting, making it mainly interesting. Math should not be made it boring or threatening. This also has
Correct.
seen a lot, like
Yes.
even teachers as well as parents make it as a threat. If you don't do this, I will give you 10 sums. This I have heard also people speak.
Correct. Very
It
true. Very
creates
true.
such a negative impact on the child. Anybody would run away from no that subject.
But as a teacher, where you can see in a classroom, in general इंडिया में तो एक क्लास में आप पकड़ के चलिए 30+ ही बच्चे होते हैं. Okay, 25, more than 25, or I can say more than 30-35 students in a classroom, where it is difficult. But in a general, how we can make this math concept easy for our kids?
One way would be making them sit in groups when you especially when you're introducing a completely new concept. Make them sit in groups and make them do something rather than just using your chalk and talk, which is doable for even in a very small classroom with the minimal manipulative, with minimum objects around you. But enough just grouping them, just change the seating arrangement a bit, wherein there is a bit of discussion happening between the children. Children learn better from other children. No, some children really need that. They are reluctant to ask the teachers. उनको डर लगता है कि उनके पूछने से ना वो एक हिचक होती है. But
Correct,
अगर
correct.
अगर दूसरे बच्चे के साथ बैठे, so they discuss, they talk, they check out, and they learn a bit faster. Definitely, you need a bit of extra time for this, but the time that is put in for doing the first session really makes or breaks your next one.
That's true. That's true.
So instead of making them do, say, 25 questions in the class, if you make them do 5 questions, but in groups,
Mm.
and have a discussion on how they went about it, each group having different set of questions, and having a last 5 minutes discussion as to where they went wrong, how did they find it. If you make them do that, okay, for every new concept or almost wherever you feel necessary, अगर वो
Mm.
discussion आप करें, एक reflection बच्चों का हो जाए, that will make it easier for the children to understand the topics. इसमें एक और चीज है, when kids are talking between themselves, you can actually focus on those one or two who really need your help.
That's very
who
interesting
needs
take.
who needs
Yeah,
your
it's a very
guidance.
interesting take. जहाँ पे you are saying that हम उनको किस तरह से ग्रुप में करके उनकी प्रोडक्टिविटी बढ़ा सकते हैं, उनके कॉन्सेप्ट. एंड आई ऑल्सो रियलाइज दैट व्हेन किड्स आर विद द फ्रेंड्स, दे एक तो उनमें थोड़ी सी कंपटीशन का भी एक वो आता है कि इफ दैट चाइल्ड इज डूइंग, आई हैव टू डू दिस एज वेल, आई नीड टू पुश माई, वो अपने आप पुश करते हैं. द सेकेंड थिंग इज with discussing with each other, they also, even if there is a confusion, कोई डाउट हो तो वो भी क्लियर आउट हो जाते हैं एट टाइम्स.
Exactly.
काफी हद तक वो
Exactly.
सॉल्व हो, टीचर का काम ऑलरेडी कम हो जाता है बिकॉज आपने कन्वे कर दिया और उन्होंने फिर आगे दूसरे बच्चों की हेल्प करके उसको उनको भी उसको उस कॉन्सेप्ट को समझा दिया. दैट इज अ वेरी गुड आइडिया. बट क्या होता है, एज वी आर डिस्कसिंग अबाउट अ क्लासरूम वेयर वी नीड टू टीच मैथ एंड मेक इट अंडरस्टैंडेबल, मेक इट ईजी. बट देन क्या होता है कि कुछ बच्चे होते हैं जिनको ग्रुप समझाने में हमें ज्यादा टाइम नहीं लगता. कुछ बच्चे होते हैं दे नीड रिपीटेशन, एंड कुछ बच्चे
Yes.
होते हैं जो रिपीटेशन के बावजूद दे नीड सम एक्स्ट्रा एफर्ट और एक्स्ट्रा उनको उनको ध्यान देने की जरूरत है, उनको कुछ अदर वे में समझाने की जरूरत है. एंड वी हैव जनरली अ क्लास ऑफ 40 to 45 minutes, राइट, एज अ टीचर.
Yes.
क्या किया जा सकता है जिससे कि वो जो टाइम है वो प्रोडक्टिव हो जाए और हमारी क्लास में मैक्सिमम एटलीस्ट 90% चीजें और 80 to 90% जो कॉन्सेप्ट है वो बच्चों को समझ में आ जाए. डिफरेंशिएशन हम कैसे क्रिएट कर सकते हैं?
You're talking about differentiation. So if it is a 45 minutes class, you get around 40 minutes kind of solid with you. Introduce a topic in an interesting manner to catch the children's attention. That your first 5 minutes makes a lot of impact. After introducing the topic and giving them a basic idea how to go about it, you can divide them into groups or give them tasks according to different levels. In the sense, say if I'm breaking up into my whatever I want to teach into 3 tasks, the first task should be doable. It's like level 1. Everybody should be able to do it
Correct.
within a given specific time. So those children who are smart or above average will finish it very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So for those who finish, you can give them the next level of the task to keep them engaged. They can have 2 choices if you want to give. They can do peer teaching. They can teach the ones who are not getting it, or they can go to the second task.
Okay. Wow, this is
And the
interesting.
ones who are really, really quick and don't want to actually waste, supposed to be wasting their time teaching others, there are some children who like to work on their own. We have got kids of different personalities. For them, give them the third level of task, which is really engaging and which takes time for them to do, for which they really need to have, put in some effort rather than doing the basics.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So if you can level up your topic into three levels will be more than enough. That's more than enough to keep them engaged.
This is a very interesting take on how we can create differentiation. किस तरह से हम क्लास को जो differently, मतलब हर कोई बच्चा different है, हर कोई बच्चा unique है, उनको कैसे sum up करके और एक concept को कैसे उनके सामने present कर सकते हैं. I want everyone to listen what ma'am is saying right now. Yes, ma'am.
And Nupur, this we are talking about the children who are higher level of intelligence, who are
Correct.
faster, smarter. They reach the third level. Okay, now what about the ones who need your help? So when the first task is taking place, you can definitely find out, if you're walking around, you'll find out who are the ones who are struggling with it. You can take them with you, make them sit around you, or you go and make them sit into a group, and that is where you can guide them to do through hands-on or different other methods to do the same thing.
Okay. Can you give us few examples of hands-on in mathematical concepts?
Yeah. If I'm asking to, for example, if I'm just teaching volume of cubes. Now, you show them the object, you talk to them, you explain to them how it comes about, you make the children understand, and you start giving the questions, and they start doing it. After showing them visually, they start. Some children will quickly pick up, some children will take time to understand some will just do it based on what you told, and some children find their own understanding. They have their own understanding, they find it out.
That happens.
So they will all go on there. There are some who will not get it at all. I have faced children who don't understand the concept. For these children, it will be great if you have a cube which you can open up into parts. No, the net of a cube, paper cuttings, make them
Yeah.
fold and let them see this is what happens. What is how does it look at flat? What is meant by volume? Make them do the thing, fill it up with say, help them to stick something around it so it becomes a shape. Fill it up with sand or chalk powder and make them understand what is volume. Because for them, understanding the meaning of volume, which is very different from area, that is the biggest task ahead.
Yeah.
If you're concentrating on those few children, you will be able to get your job done to a large extent. Or at
Okay.
least the children will be having an idea, okay, they can go home and continue with it.
Wow. Can you, ma'am, can you give us some ideas of मतलब किस तरह के हम manipulatives, किस तरह के resources as a simple means हमारे जो normal classes होती हैं जहाँ पे हमारे पास as such resources नहीं होते हैं. Can you name or can you guide us with some resources which is easily available in a classroom?
Okay. You have every classroom will have papers, your
Correct.
notebook. बच्चे के पास notebook तो होते हैं. Your notebook, smaller children, your squared paper is one big resource. With that squared paper, you can do mostly a lot of things. You can do patterns on it. And I would also stress on the importance of patterns for understanding math. छोटे बच्चों को हमेशा if you guide them through patterns. Now, what is meant by patterns? Pattern is not only the thing that you put on paper, I like a print. Pattern is around you in nature.
Correct.
If you look at if you look at just branches, trees, you have got the plants at home, in your school, surroundings. If you look at them, everything is following a pattern. The leaves follow a pattern for different plants. The petals follow a pattern for different flowers. Okay, even those basic things can be used as your manipulative. You have got, if you have stairs, make use of them. If you have got simple, your floor, your class floor is a big manipulative. You have a chalk piece with you, you can create whatever you want down there. Skip counting so easily can be done by just drawing few squares or circles and just making children
Yes,
jump
very
with
nicely.
numbers. Yes.
Very nicely
Now,
done.
when you have got pencils of children, unused pencils, sketch pens, erasers, your chalk boxes,
Correct.
your clips, paper clips,
Yes, yes,
you
true.
name it, you can use all of them to show, at least for numbers. When you talk about numbers, you have got groupings, bigger number, smaller number,
In fact, for patterns also we can
pattern.
use these things, right?
Definitely,
Water
definitely.
bottles around, the bags
Water
around, or
bottle.
everything we can
Exactly.
use.
For weight, you can use your bags around. And you have got even just by holding with hands, so they get an approximation of
Yes,
which is heavier,
yes,
which is lighter.
yes,
So
true,
then
true.
you have got water bottles. You can ask them to bring recycled water bottles, which is an excellent form of measurement. You can have that.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
So
that's so nice.
yeah. So
Very
these
good.
things which are we dispose of all can be utilized in the classroom. Now, one example is I have seen children having no concept of when you're talking about measurements. They know what is a centimeter, okay, meter, kind of, kilometer, no way. They cannot comprehend kilometers. Small children, I'm talking about,
Yes,
because
yes,
for them their limit is one big scale or the length of a room, and that's it.
that's it.
So,
Correct.
so one thing we had tried out, you must also have tried out in the class, is how to make them understand the concept of a kilometer.
Yes,
So,
true.
so for a teacher who has nothing in hands, what do we do? You just need a string or your dupatta or something of that sort for some kind of measurement. You can show them what is 10 centimeter. They can understand 10 centimeter. You can keep 10 scales to show a meter.
Yes,
You
true.
can simply take a sutli. A sutli is enough. If you have a 1
A
meter,
thread. Yeah.
mark a thread. You can mark a 10 meter using that sutli.
Mm-hmm.
Make the children walk and make
Yes,
them walk 10 times to know that it is 100 meters, and tell them you will have to walk 10 more times to make it a kilometer. So they
correct.
will
Very
know,
true.
they can understand by just simply walking, they can have an idea of how big is one particular unit and
One
how
kilometer
small is
is. Yes,
it.
yes. True. Very nice. Thank you so much, ma'am. But I want this one last, I'm having this one last question for you because मैं जानना चाहती हूँ कि आपकी जर्नी एज अ टीचर जो कि 18 इयर्स की है आपका एक्सपीरियंस कैसा रहा बिकॉज अर्लियर पहले बहुत अलग तरीके से पढ़ाया जाता था, आज बहुत अलग तरीके से पढ़ाया जाता है। आपने वो डिफरेंस कैसे देखा? क्या डिफरेंस आप देखते हो मैम?
मुझे लगता है सिखाने का तरीका डेफिनेटली बदल गया है. इट इज मोर चाइल्ड सेंट्रिक नाउ. पहले तो वी डिड नॉट हैव एन ऑप्शन. यू हैड टू लर्न मीन्स यू हैड टू लर्न. दैट इज बाय हार्ट करो, रट्टा मारो, फिनिश ऑफ.
करेक्ट।
बट आर one thing was many children used to make their own mental connections that time. आज के बच्चों को सिंस वी आर गिविंग टू मच टू देम एंड नॉट गिविंग देम द स्कोप टू मेक देयर ओन कनेक्शंस, वो थोड़ा सा मुझे मेंटल मैथ में आज थोड़ा आई फील दैट किड्स कैन बी अ बिट मोर बेटर एट मेंटल मैथ.
ओके।
That is one thing. And now the change you are saying, previously teachers taught the subjects uh, taking into consideration their children. Yes, nowadays you look into the psychology of the child also quite a lot when you're preparing your lessons. You
Yes,
try
of
to
course.
make it understandable to them, so bring it down to their level and try to check out whether the basics are there before you start off with the next part. Previously also it was done, but nowadays I feel with more of planning and more of hands on, we are looking into it a bit more bit more into it. That part
Okay,
is what
okay.
I think.
So nice to have you, ma'am. We discussed about so many things and अभी भी लग रहा है कि कितना कुछ है जो जानना बाकी है और कितना कुछ है जिस पे बात करनी और हमें चाहिए. So maybe some other day again we can meet and again we can chat over these topics and this is so influencing. I believe जो fresher teachers हैं, जो इस फील्ड में नए हैं या फिर जो अभी-अभी सीखना चालू करें एंड जिनमें एक होता है ना एक्सप्लोर करने की भावना है, इमोशन है कि वी वांट टू मेक सम चेंजेस, वो इस वीडियो को देख के काफी कुछ सीखेंगे और जानेंगे किस तरह से मैथ को इतना इंटरेस्टिंग बनाया जा सकता है. थैंक यू सो मच फॉर बीइंग देयर विद अस. आई होप यू रियली enjoyed this as well.
Definitely, definitely. I had a wonderful. There are so many things to talk, but I know there is a lack of time. But I would just say with a parting thing, please make math connected with arts, music, dance. It will be wonderful for you as well as your children.
Wow.
Thank you. Thank you, Nupur.
थैंक यू सो मच फॉर बीइंग देयर मैम एंड आई होप आप सबको भी ये वीडियो और ये जो पर्टिकुलर सेशन था काफी इंटरेस्टिंग लगा होगा. प्लीज कमेंट सेक्शन में मुझे बताइए कि आपके क्या रिएक्शंस है, आप क्या सोचते हैं एंड मुझे इससे काफी हेल्प मिलेगी टू मेक माय अदर वीडियोस एज वेल. एंड इफ यू वांट टू सी हेमा मैम अगेन, so please write it down also in the comment section. And yes, I'm going to meet you again in the next video. Thank you so much, Hema ma'am, and thank you so much for watching
Thank
this
you.
video.
Thank you, Nupur.
Namaskar.